Hello there, this is Shears, and I'm back for another tutorial about demo recording. And I recorded everything you just saw there with Ryukbot. Today we'll be covering Ryukbot, the 2.1.0 release specifically, which is a tool similar to Lawena, but it works a little differently and may be easier for some of you to use. Also, there's the option with Ryukbot to export straight to MP4 files, which you may find useful. Anyway, the first step of getting Ryukbot installed is actually kind of strange. You need an old version of QuickTime, since that's what the game uses to encode files. You'll find it here in a link I've included in the description. You might say, well, it says this is no longer supported by Apple. Just trust me, it still works, even though it's like very old. I know there are a few people trying to use Ryukbot where QuickTime hasn't worked. In that case, you'll want to try the QuickTime alternative, which does the same thing. Once you get QuickTime installed, you will have to restart your PC before Ryukbot will actually work. So go do that and come back to this video once you've done it. Alright, so you've installed this ancient, antiquated version of QuickTime, and now you're back here. Next thing we want to do is take our Ryukbot zip and just paste it into our TF2 custom folder. Just a note from future Shears here, you don't have to install Ryukbot in your custom folder. In fact, if you install Ryukbot, if you put the Ryukbot folder somewhere outside of the TF folder, it may actually help your game load a little quicker, but it's not a big deal either way. Anyways, we'll extract it, and now you have a Ryukbot folder. Alright, at this point I have to check and make sure you know what an events.txt or killstreaks.txt file looks like, because Ryukbot needs those to work. Just as an example, here's what a very small events.txt file might look like. So if this looks familiar to you, like, great. If you have no idea what this is or what it means, I really recommend you go check out RGL's tutorial on recording demos, recording demo files to be more specific, because you'll need that knowledge to do this. I've linked that video and the in-game recording guide we're about to see next in the description. Overall, I've linked everything you'll need to have or look at in the description, so go ahead and find those now if this is something you have not learned yet. So this is Mal's demo support guide for details on how exactly to use this in-game demo recorder. That's what I use. I haven't used PREC in a while, so I can't really go into detail on that, but what you want to know for this Ryukbot tutorial is make sure you have ds-log set to 1. So enabling the setting log events should create an events.txt file once you log your first event, whether that be a kill streak. I think the minimum is 4 kill streak for it to be logged, or a manual bookmark that you make. And make sure you bind a bookmark key while you're playing, so whenever you hit that bookmark key, it'll log an event in your events.txt file. How do I bind a bookmark key? Well, if you hop into TF2, type in console. If you don't know what console is, we'll go over that a little later into this tutorial. But for now, type in bind, whatever your key is, bind p ds_mark. And then if you hit enter, I'm not going to hit enter myself because it'll overwrite my current bind, but you just hit enter, and then from now on, whenever you're in game, just playing, if you do something cool, and it'll show up in your events.txt file. So now that you know, or have already known what one of these is, let's go back to our custom folder. We're going to do some first-time setup with Ryukbot, and I'll help walk you through each of these little instructions. I'm going to make it bigger so you can see. Let's enter to start. This just is like, this is asking if this is the correct path for your Team Fortress 2, well, /TF folder, and it is. That this address, I think, matches up. Yep, it does. So I can just hit enter and it'll put this default line in as my TF folder, because it is the default pathing. If you have your TF folder in a location that's not this, you'd have to put that file path out here, but mine is default. So this, I believe this is a new feature with 2.1.0. You can select a folder within your TF folder. It has to be within your TF folder. It's important to note that your video output will go when it's done. So I'm going to make a folder called Ryukbot output. There we go. And then put that here as well. There we go. 60 frames per second is fine for this. I want a crosshair. I want my HUD. No text chat, no voice chat, and I'm just hitting the number I want for the option and enter for each of these. This screen is where you can add any commands that you want Ryukbot to execute just before it starts recording. This is the same, but just after Ryukbot ends recording. Pretty intuitive. This is a pretty important one. This is the method of recording you want Ryukbot to use. If you choose H.264, you'll get an MP4 video file straight out of the process. If you do it blank instead, it's going to record TGA files, which are like still images, and then you'd have to stitch them together with AVI recorder or virtual dub. It's more like Lawena, as it says by default. So I'm going to do H.264 because I want to record for MP4s. This, don't worry about this too much. If this is your first time using Ryukbot, I'm just going to hit the default. Same with this. The default of a few, like I think this is around 6 or 7 seconds before a bookmark key is usually fine. You can adjust these if you want, but I find that the defaults are pretty good. Again, pretty self-explanatory. I'm staying default here. This means it'll record X number of ticks per kill in your kill streak. So you got a 4 kill streak, which will look, let me find an example. Kill streak 4 would look something like that, if assuming you're using the in-game recorder. PREC formats it slightly different, but it should still be pretty obvious. So let me go back to that actually. For this example, it's 500 ticks per kill, and I got a 4 kill streak. So, assuming I stay default, it'd record about 2,000 ticks. I'm fine with default here. Ticks to record after each kill streak ends. Pretty self-explanatory again. Now, this one is also pretty simple. Like, if there's less than 500 ticks by default between clips, Ryukbot will just combine them. Personally, I don't actually know that much about the double tap functionality. So if you're a first time user, don't worry about this too much. Default is fine. It's got something to do with rewinding and giving your tick extra, well, giving your recorded clip extra ticks at the beginning. This one is pretty important. You want to hit 1 for this if you want Ryukbot to record more than one demo at a time, which is most of the point of this software, honestly. Because it'll automatically go to the next demo. You won't have to touch anything. Like, you can start the recording process on the first demo, and Ryukbot will automatically go to the next demo and continue to record. It's the big strength of this software. So I'm going to put that at 1, obviously. This, again, pretty self-explanatory. I like having the welcome message, so I'll keep that up. This you don't really need to worry about unless you want to troubleshoot. I'm going to keep that at 4 for now. And this says it'll clear your events.txt or killstreaks.txt file at the end of the process. You want to keep this at 1. And I know it's scary to put that up because you're like, what if I lose all the events I've accumulated? Like, you won't do that because Ryukbot makes backups of every time you record. So this is from yesterday, for example. And I recorded these 4 demos and it saved a copy of them before recording. So I recommend keeping that at 1 for now. And do that, why not? You can regenerate VDM files, and we'll explain what those are in a sec, very easily with this program, so you don't need to worry about deleting them. If you are worried about it, like, this will stop you from overwriting them accidentally if you hit 1. Sound fix, definitely recommend enabling that. And after that, Ryukbot's done its work. So this events.txt file from earlier is now empty because I enabled the clear button, but let's go back and look at the backup it made just to see what Ryukbot did. So I've got it open here. I'm going to make it big enough to see. So let me just adjust these windows. As you can see, Ryukbot read this events.txt file, found the bookmark, went back 1,000 ticks before that bookmark. Ryukbot has made a VDM file with the information needed to record this demo from this tick to this tick, and the same demo from this tick to this tick. And then it went on to the next demo and recorded, well, made a VDM file with the information needed to record from this tick to this tick. So what is a VDM file? You have probably been asking for some time now. Let's take a look. It should be in our demos folder if I remember right. Yep. There's a couple there. I'm going to sort by type just so I can find them. And I've got 2 VDM files for 2 demos. I'm going to do by name again so I can grab the corresponding demos. Right, just checking to make sure those match up. Now you want to copy or cut. Depends on what you want. I like to copy just so I don't accidentally delete stuff. You'll want to copy those 4 files, 2 VDMs and the 2 corresponding demo files back into your TF folder. There we are. Got these 4. Now you can load up your TF2. So now on the main menu here, I can use console. And if you don't know what console is, let me show you real quick. You go to options. On this menu, go to advanced and enable developer console. Apply. That will now allow you to hit your tilde key, the top left just under the escape button. That'll open up this menu with console on it. And in this little bar right here, you'll type play demo and then the name of the first demo in the group of demos that you want to record with Ryukbot. So these will be the 2 demos that we got information from. So I'm going to double check that I've got this right. 30920. Yep, 30920. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. So it's going to play normally for a little bit and then skip forward rapidly. This is normal. Alright. And you'll see it slow down, audio starts skipping. This means the recording process is working normally. So now all you really have to do is wait. I'm even going to step away from my PC while this does its work. Alright, I'm back at my computer now, and it looks like our recording has finished. Let's check our output folder. And sure enough, we've got 3 video files for our 3 bookmarks. Seems good enough. I do have a couple more things to cover though, so stick around. If you want to, for example, go back and record the same thing or set up a new recording, there's some stuff to do that's not necessarily intuitive. So I'm going to open up my TF folder again. Go into my custom, go to my Ryukbot folder. If I want to change settings, like say I want to record at 120 frames per second, or I don't want to have my crosshair, I'll go to the Ryukbot folder and open this Ryukbot settings.json file. You can open this and edit with Notepad++ or Microsoft Visual Studio. You can get these both legally for free. I'm going to use Notepad++ for this example, but this will open a little file here. You can edit these values however you want. Just make sure you're not messing up the syntax. In Notepad, everything still needs a comma after it when you're done. I think it might be different in Visual Studio. Let me just check that. Yeah, just make sure you put a comma after everything, or it may not work. Like small little mistakes here, like if you forgetting a quotation mark, that alone may like prevent Ryukbot from working. So let's say I want to, for example, record a different set of bookmarks. To do that, I would simply set up my events.txt file. Currently it's blank. I just need to put something else in it. Let's check this from yesterday. How about this one actually? I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that in. Give it a save. And now I should be able to just run Ryukbot again. Going to my TF folder, custom Ryukbot. Yep. And it scanned these 3 demos I put in my events.txt file, and it's all good to go. Ryukbot does have some more advanced features that you can check out, such as the mod maker and the events.txt maker, but I'm not going to cover those in this tutorial. That's it.